Hello, welcome today to the Christian Construction Podcast. On this episode, we're going to talk about youth devotions, an activity that you can do with your young people at your church any time of year, but especially during the summer. Stay tuned for this episode. All right, welcome back to the podcast again today. I'm your host, Michael Lindsay, here with my co-host, Brother Keith Norman and Brother Gabe Carson. How are you, Brother Gabe?
I'm doing good. Bro.
You thought I was going right, I went left.
I'm doing good.
So this messes up the basketball thing.
Yeah, I've been working on my left.
I like the riddle you gave us. I mean, if you hadn't said youth devotions, something that's you can do at any time of the year, but
You
it's
really
better
can.
best to do during the summer.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was going to leave it up to see if y'all could answer it.
the
In the
perfect
comments.
the perfect Riddler.
Y'all doing all right?
Doing good, brother.
Good. Full bellies. Working off supper. Praise the Lord. Amen.
I'm working off a whole lot more than supper, bro.
I've been fasting since lunch.
I hate to say it.
Well, we appreciate you tuning in. This is a ministry of the Love Valley Baptist Church, and our pastor is Barry Philbeck. We're very thankful for the opportunity to be able to come to you through these means, whatever platform you are watching or listening on. And we do hope that the podcast is a blessing to you. We do encourage you to like, share, comment, review, subscribe on whatever you are doing that on, watching on, or listening on. And that helps us, gets the word out, and hopefully will be an encouragement to the body of believers, the body of Christ. We're thankful for anybody that will help us with that. Well, today we're talking about a subject that is dealing with young people, youth work, and we mentioned on last week about the importance of having a youth group, and just talked about different things that what youth group means to these men as they grew up in a youth group or got to be a part of it. Brother Gabe got in on the tail end of his teen years. Brother Keith grew up in it more or less. And then I've just got to be a part of it in some way for the past 16 years and had a great time. Well, and within all of that, talking about youth group and the pros and cons, we mentioned something called youth devotions. And youth devotions is something that me and my wife started doing years ago. We're going to talk about it. It's a great activity. It's something fun that you can do with your young people. That is an encouragement to them. And so we're going to talk a little bit about youth devotions today and about the way that we do it and some things that we do. So I guess let's go. Well, y'all
Well, here, question number one. Define when someone, let's just say, that there's someone out there who's never heard the word youth devotion.
Right.
What is youth devotion?
All right,
What
so
is it?
youth devotion for us is a get-together at our home on a personal level. And of course, the purpose for all of that is to kind of relax, and we're going to have some games, we're going to have some fun, but let's kind of let our hair down, or take your hair off in my case, so to speak. And and I figured I'd get the joke in before y'all did. But just kind of, it is a more relaxed atmosphere. But, of course, the overall purpose is to draw people closer to the Lord, but then also to strengthen the bond of fellowship between the body of believers. And so that's really what youth devotion is to me and to our church. That's what youth devotion is.
In these youth devotions, what kind of activities, what kind of things do you do to keep the kids entertained?
Well, we'll usually have a game or a series of games lined up. For instance, a couple of weeks ago when we did our last one, and we had youth camp last week, and we had Bible school the week before that, so it has been a couple of weeks since we had one. When we had that one, it was more of the games were more of a dodgeball theme. So we had several variations of dodgeball. You had traditional dodgeball. We have a game called junkyard dodgeball, which is just a whole nother different thing. And then we have like a free-for-all dodgeball, which is basically two dodgeball courts side by side. It's 4 squares, and that's so we throw some wrinkles in it, and so there'll be a game or a series of games that are all pretty much the same thing. So that would be dodgeball night, or volleyball night, or whatever.
You forgot one of the funnest dodgeball.
Which one?
Sunday school.
Sunday school dodgeball. Now
It's dangerous right there, buddy.
Sunday school dodgeball was the game we invented
level.
probably about 50, I think it was invented about 15 or 16 years ago. And the thing is, you got to be in the Sunday school building to do it. And we have broken things in that building.
Many heads have been cracked.
I have had my job threatened in that building because of some of the damage that we've done. But we were just building up the body of Christ.
There's been great memories through youth devotions. And I know this might be a hard question, what are some of the things that you can remember that happened as far as a positive influence where maybe a young person testified or a time when you've seen people strengthen, or what's a memory that you have where you've seen God move in one of the youth
Well,
devotions?
in general, it is the testifying, the testimonies. It's the getting around the piano and singing at the house. It's, kind of that challenge at the end of whatever the devotion is that we're given that night, and hoping that the point gets driven home and that everybody takes it serious and we realize the importance of whatever it is that's being talked about. The specifics that I remember are a young lady who just graduated high school here getting saved at my kitchen table right before youth devotion one night. And so there are several instances like that are just specific memories of seeing teenagers, kind of seeing them fill out their Christianity, seeing it start to become to fruition, I guess is the right way of saying it, watching the fruit blossom on the tree, so to speak. So seeing that happen in the smaller setting then sets the stage for, makes them more comfortable, willing to testify in a bigger setting.
Right.
And of course, the last episode we talked about how youth group teaches young people in one capacity how to serve in a small realm, and then helping them to do it in a larger realm. Well, youth devotions is kind of promoting worship in a smaller realm. It sounds like some new age, modern, small cell worship group or something, but it's youth devotion. It's not. It's not nothing crazy, right? It's not replacing anything that we already do. That's
Just another resource.
It's another resource, yeah.
Just bouncing off of the positive experiences and influences over the years, what are some, over your 16 years, some of the negative that you may have learned from?
Some of the broken arms, some of the
Broke toes. The water fights are the ones you really have to plan for.
Cut feet.
Cut feet.
Ugh.
Well,
diesel fuel.
I would say probably we have. I mean, when you get that many teenagers together, and then you get somebody like me who is about half crazy, it's a recipe for something bad happening. So that we have had some near misses in some stuff in the past, but altogether, I would say probably I had mentioned something to you guys in preparation for this about we started structuring the devotions, like, get to the house at 6. We start eating at 6:15, and then we're going to do game time at 6:45, and then we're going to have the devotion at 7:15, and just structuring it to not to tie everybody's hands, but to make it more fun, to maximize the time we have, because there were times where if we were just kind of free range, doing whatever we wanted to do, and we didn't get to do everything that I really wanted y'all to get to do, and then we'd run out of time, and we'll have to do it next week, and
Sure.
And it's maybe not as fun as it could have been, and so we just started structuring everything, I guess.
Let's say that there's someone watching this, maybe a youth man, somebody's out there who their church doesn't do youth devotions. If you had to just lay it out there and someone asked a question, which I'm getting ready to ask,
Yeah.
if you wanted to start youth devotions, what kind of advice would you give me? How would I start it? What do I need to do? What do I not need to do?
Okay. Well, what we do is we do it in the summertime, and we do it on the same day of the week every week. So we do it right now on Tuesdays. We'll do it on every Tuesday when we are not in a meeting or at youth camp or Bible school. We'll do it every Tuesday through the summer months. And so we start at like 6 o'clock in the evening. That gives the parents, makes it easier on the parents to get them there. In doing all of that, we try to make sure that we've got some good games planned. We try to make sure we've got everything ready when they get there. Obviously, we're going to eat because we're Baptists, so we're going to eat. We're going to have a theme to the meal that night. If it might be Mexican, so it's going to be Taco Tuesday. On one of the devotions at some point, we'll tell everybody be sure you eat something before you come, and it'll be just ice cream sundae stuff, and it'll be crazy, and it'll be good though. We did a Japanese meal one time. I mean, you know, we try to have a theme to the meal. You know, food. The food is important. You can't get that many
The
teenagers
biggest
together and not
language
feed
we all
them.
speak.
And you got to have good desserts too. Don't come up here with your Ingles label on your pound cake. Don't do that to us. Come in here with some homemade, delicious goodness straight from Mama's kitchen. So you got to have good food. You got to have some good games planned. I mentioned that about the dodgeball. That would be the games we would do for that one night. It might be a big wiffle ball game where it's just everybody out there playing wiffle ball or kickball or something that everybody can play that you can make everybody a part of. That's always important. And then sometimes it don't have to be a game that involves a ball. It could be charades. It could be some game where it's more intellectually challenging, you know. And then, of course, have a devotion, 15, 20 minutes. Do some singing with your young people. I think that's important to do. And then, you know, the very last one that we do, and we try to make the last one the big one. And so it'll be all like ice cream sundaes, all the fixings, ice cream, Cool Whip, chocolate syrup, cherries, crushed strawberries, crushed pineapple. I mean, anything you can put on ice cream that is good, we're going to do it. And then what we did a couple years ago when we did that last one, we rented 2 water inflatables and put them up, one in the backyard, one in the side yard. And we alternated between the boys and the girls. The boys would have one for 15 minutes. The girls would have one for 15 minutes. And it was unbelievable. I mean, they loved it, absolutely loved it. So there's things you can do like that. And everybody may not have those resources, but, man, go get 5,000 balloons and spend the day filling them up with water and tear everybody's head off when they get there that night. We've had just huge water fights on the last day. So we just try to do all kind of stuff like that, make it fun for them. You know, and make it, you know, we said this on the last podcast, if you ain't got but 7 or 8 or 4, you make those 4 feel like they're the most important people in the world.
Yeah.
That's important.
Sure.
I mean, it's important.
Well, they're worth spending the time for.
That's right. If just one, don't sit around thinking about the ones that didn't come, because those other kids realize that and they think, well, I must not be as important as somebody else. Sure. And it's not about any one person being important. It's about the youth group as a whole is important.
Right.
So we're going to have a youth group activity, and whoever shows up, that's who's going to have fun, and we're going to have fun with them and make sure they have fun.
It's just as important in the end that you invest in 1, 3, or 50.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And we have had all of those numbers at one time, you know.
Sure. Well, everybody's going to go through a dip and a peak and everything else. That's life. That's people. But I think as far as youth devotions go, when it comes from being a part of a youth group, which we spoke about last week, that's one of the greatest things that I think I was able to be a part of was youth devotions, because it was so, and I don't want to say this in a bad sense, but when I say casual, but it was normal living.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not in a church service. It's not structured to a point. It's coming in, sitting down, laughing together, having a good time. We're getting to sing songs, and then before you know it, somebody's crying and testifying. You know,
That's right.
Yeah.
And God gets to moving, and then you remember that, and then that's a time and a place where you remember, you don't forget, you get strengthened. The boys, a lot of times, the devotions was where a lot of people would share their burdens.
Yeah.
I remember that, Brother Keith. There was many of us, when we were going to share our burdens, it was at a smaller group where we trusted people.
Yeah.
And someone would tell somebody about what was going on at home, and we would pray for that. And people would get strengthened. Young people that didn't have the great home, something would happen there. They would get their heart blessed, and we would get to pray with them, and it would help them through the week and through the month because we had that time.
I want you to answer this question, and man, I got a question for you about one of your most fondest memories, or just what you just shared, a collection of things, but don't give me the answer yet while you're thinking about it. One of the things that having that atmosphere does is, so often you take some young people, everybody's home life is different, and they may think, well, Christianity is just something you do at church, or it's just something you do when you go to meeting. And having youth devotion, one of the important things about having it at our home was to create that home family atmosphere that this is at our house, and this is what we do at our house. Mm-hmm. We're still Christians. I don't have on a suit and tie, but I'm decent. My wife still dresses modest. We still don't have a bunch of filth. This is my home. We don't have filth in here. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is practical Christianity. we're still clean. We can still laugh. We can still cut up, but we're still Christians at the end of the day. And so it is showing Christianity in more of a relaxed atmosphere. So that being said, Brother Gabe, what in your mind are some of your fond memories as a collection, or if you've got one specific that you would share?
I don't know if I can give one specific. I mean, there was good times, and I remember when we'd play basketball, we'd get so sweaty we couldn't breathe. We'd go sit down, we'd eat, we'd pray. I can think of many fun times we had. I can think.
You leave imprints of sweat on my
Oh
carpet.
my goodness! I think about the Bennix boys and the
The
sweat that
imprints
was
of sweat on
dropped
that.
on your driveway.
Yeah.
And the crowns that you and Miss Brittany will receive for all those weeks and all that time.
Lord,
But
what are these for? These are for the sweaty driveway.
youth
Was it at a
devotions.
youth devotion that I got knocked out with a basketball?
Well, you got knocked out several times. I
Oh,
don't know.
but I
true.
probably shouldn't tell them that.
I would say some of the most fond memories that I have is outside of, it was really the remnant there would be a lot of people who would come just to say they came. They would come, they would eat, they would leave. But there would be around 15 that was going to stay until you kicked us
Till we-
out.
It was getting like 9:30, 10
Yes,
o'clock.
Yes, and we would stay there, and then before you would know it, we would be talking about things serious.
Yeah.
We'd be sitting around your coffee table. We would talk about the Bible. We would talk
Oh, yeah.
about, especially to the young preachers. You would talk. We would give some. You would give some insight. We had great stories we would tell of
yeah.
yesteryear, all kinds of things. Sitting around the piano, I remember my wife playing the piano. Obviously not my wife at the time, but she's playing the piano and we sing and we would pick a song. We would sing youth choir songs and we would sing and just have a good time and forget where you were at,
That's
forget
right.
forget the worries, whatever was
Yeah.
going on, and just for a minute you were just having a good time doing something that God would be proud of you doing.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Brother Keith, same question. Maybe a collection of things, or maybe one specific thing that just really stands out to you about your time getting to do youth devotions. What does it mean to the teenager?
I actually really enjoyed your answers to our interview so much so that it took me all the way back in my mind to my very first youth devotion.
Wow.
And you know, I most of you don't know me so well to know that I'm usually quite reserved and quiet, and I'm not outgoing. I don't say a lot to people, especially that I don't know. But I just started coming to the church. I believe
It would have been
I-
like 2010, maybe 2011.
2010 maybe. I started coming in July of 2010, so it would have had to been 2010. And I was backwards. I wouldn't have talked to any one of them. And he invited me to youth devotions, and we were sitting down there in that parsonage, and 40, 50 people in there, and each one of them took time and introduced themselves to me, and then I introduced myself to them, and from there, it didn't mean a lot. A conversation is one thing, developing a friendship is one thing, but that kind of broke the ice for that to happen. I wouldn't have done that by myself. You talked about the themed, I guess, the
meals
the
and
meals
stuff,
and
yeah.
stuff. But we also had themed, I guess, lessons or devotions. We had that. We talked about it before we came in preparation for this episode. The living on purpose.
We had a whole summer that was pretty much our theme.
And from that, I truly believe that, especially the young men, I believe the young ladies, I believe the whole youth group really grabbed onto that and took that summer and lived it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And just like Gabe said, there would always be that few, the handful they sat there through devotions. They would even sometimes participate in the testimonies and stuff. But the 10 or 15 that would be left singing, there would be another service breakout. I've always said that the Lord, I don't limit the Lord. He can meet with us wherever, whenever He wants to. Chelsea would be playing the piano. We'd be standing in the living room. There'd be 10 or 15 of us. we'd be singing fun songs, and then we'd get serious and sings,
And Miss Brittany start crying and
and
testifying.
and, to, and it would happen. It would
Just put it on.
make a
trying to put it on.
trying to put it on. It would make a full circle. We'd go from
It
from the testimonies at the end of devotion to the more testimonies, and it felt like you are sitting in a church service by the time everybody's gone and we're standing around the piano. It felt like we was in a church service.
I would say that's probably what had given y'all's particular generation such a strong bond was those times like that. And I think one of the things that stands out to me as far as what devotions did for you all, we broke through that wall of pride early on. By the time you got there, we had already broken through it, and you just kind of jumped on it, and you got in on it early. And I think that's always an issue. That's an issue with people in general. Sure. But especially with teenagers, the boys are wondering what the girls thinking. The girls are wondering what the boys thinking. There are times when we would do devotions where I would take the boys out back and talk to them, and my wife would stay inside with the girls. And we would do different things, but it was all meant as a source of drawing everybody closer to the Lord and drawing everybody closer to each other. And one of the key things I think it removed was that pride.
Yeah.
What's everybody going to think about me if I testify? But we would get together, and just about everybody would testify at every devotion. And so we were not ashamed. Our faith was strong in the Lord in front of one another. And we didn't have to, put on or cover up anything or we wasn't worried about what anybody thought about us,
One of the most fond memories, well, take that back. It was not fond, but it was one of the most memorable moments was I was coming home. It was me. We had all... Brother, we had left your house like 1:30. It was back we were doing devotions like on Friday nights, brother. And I remember we were coming down.
It's just a reason to get together and eat.
we were coming down. We were coming down Love Valley Road, brother. And apparently someone had hit somebody with a baseball bat, and it was somebody who drove a Honda Accord, which was my car at the time. And I'm coming down the mountain, and here comes a cop flying, pulls me over, and he says, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I just left my youth pastor's house," and they said, "There ain't nobody at their youth pastor's house at 1:30 in the morning." I said, "Bro, there's about 10 people coming right behind me." And next thing you knew, about 5 cars were pulling in. Because he wanted me to open his trunk up. I opened it up. There was no ball bat in there. I leave. And then people that were behind me, he said the same guy stopped him. And after about 3 times of them saying, "We're at our youth pastor's house," he said he finally believed everybody. Let everybody go.
Trooper Johnson, we want to thank you for your service.
He did not believe me either. He thought I was a guilty man.
Well, we had some good times. I can't tell you how many sitting, especially over at the old house, sitting on the back porch till like 2 in the morning.
A lot of coffee drunk.
A lot of coffee got drunk in that house on that back porch. So the Lord really met with us there, though.
There was I guess we need to talk about the one, I guess, fond memories of all of us being able to work together as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
the fun part was that was the only fun part.
True.
At the time, I was clearing out my backyard so that we all would have a better place to play football and baseball and all of that. So if I was going to have a cleared out backyard, I was going to need some help. So these guys come help me. And we would work down there, and it wasn't just on Tuesday. I mean, y'all come over there at all kind of times and help.
Some of the young people need to know how to work.
And in all honesty, I think it really helped some prepare them for real work. And
they didn't know what sweat was, bro.
Oh, brother, we
well, and not just at your house. We've done it at the church.
We've done it here at the church.
And
that
times
is funny how that kind of ingrained in all of us that bond of, hey, we know we got to work. Let's work together. Let's get the job done. And even in all of that, there was spiritual application. Lord teaches how to labor together. And now we literally labor together in the work of the Lord. Yep. So it's a blessing. Lord have mercy. And we could share stories all night. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. And listen, if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, just send us a message through Facebook. You can do that. Our email and all of that is on our Facebook page, so you can send an email to us. We'll be glad to get back with you, answer that any way we can. And we want you to be encouraged by it. In the meantime, please be sure to like, share, comment, review, subscribe on whatever platform that you're watching or listening, and let us know that you appreciate the podcast coming to your place of listening. Until next week, we hope that you'll continue to listen, continue to tune in here on the Christian Construction Podcast.